Every single case we've ever had a cannabis DUI on, the person was not pulled over for impaired driving. They're pulled over for a blinker, a left turn, a legal lane change, whatever. Then they smell it. Then they ask about it. How long? When did you last smoke? And I did it an hour ago or 4 hours ago, or we've had cases 8 hours ago. Now they've said they've consumed before they drove. Now they want to do a DUI check and they have you do the field sobriety test. And if you don't know any better, you're going to fail somewhere on that test, no matter sober or not, impaired or not. So if they didn't pull you over for being impaired, don't give them any reason to justify the DUI investigation. I don't know that reform is necessarily needed. Cops just got to get off the smell of marijuana thing, eventually, but people can't rat on themselves. That's the problem.
All right, folks, it's time for our favorite podcast, Cut to the Chase. Woo, woo, woo. It's summertime. July 4th. Maybe you're at a barbecue and you had a couple of beers, having a good time, and then the next thing you know, you're in your car and you're seeing those lights behind you and you're trying to remember, what do I say? What do I do? Can I just be quiet? And so I brought on Marc Wasserman, one of the Pot brothers, who
at
is
law.
What's that?
You've got to say at law, otherwise we're just two brothers who smoke pot.
Pot brothers at law. Oh my God, I stand corrected. Okay.
And we have it trademarked. So
Oh, it's trademarked as well. All right. So they years ago got in the representing people getting arrested for cannabis and all that, and then they all of a sudden they put on this video about what to do with the police. What 25 words? The thing went viral. I mean, Roger Stone, P. Diddy, Snoop Dogg, everybody was reposting it. And I'm like, I got to get these guys on here. Craig will join us. He's with a client right now, as soon as he's off. But how are you doing today, Marc?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself? Thanks for having us.
All right. Now I do have to throw a disclaimer on here, which is that we might use some foul language, maybe a word or two, because I think the hashtag for this viral video was shut the F up, something like that. But
that is, and we have that trademark too.
And you have that wow, this is crazy. All right, well, it's a serious topic, whatever. I've got 20 questions, and maybe you'll answer a few of them, in one fall swoop. But let's start talking about, I would say, let's cut to the chase. And what's the biggest mistake people make when they get pulled over for suspected DUI?
Well, so number one, what we always have to get out there, because we get accused of helping drunks, get away with stuff. And that's the last thing we want. Nobody should drive impaired on anything, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever you fancy. If you're impaired, don't drive. And if you're driving impaired, you should go to jail. That aside, this is for people who don't drink and drive, who maybe had one or two, like you said in the beginning, you had a couple of beers at a party that lasted 8 hours, and you're not impaired, you're responsible, and you get pulled over. In that situation, the biggest mistake is, I just had one or two drinks, which a lot of time that's just the lie that people tell. But for those who are actually telling the truth and know, I'm not impaired, I'm fine, what's the big deal? I had one or two drinks. Done. They're going to get you out of the car. They're going to assume the worst. And they're going to then try to get you to do the field sobriety test, which in California, where we're at, they are voluntary. Most states are voluntary with the DUIs. There's a few exceptions, and we encourage you to Google your own state as to whether or not you have to do those field sobriety tests. But by and large, they are voluntary. Also in California and many other states, the breathalyzer on the side of the road, the preliminary alcohol screener, as it's known, is voluntary also. Those two things you should never do. There's no reason to do them. They're voluntary. Just Google up innocent people arrested for DUI. And that's where it all starts, because I'm fine. I could touch my nose. I could do this. What's the problem? And the next thing you know, you're getting arrested because the cop says, well, you failed those tests. And they're subjective. You put your finger right here instead of right here, you fail. And a lot of people can't even do that, even completely sober. And it's quite alarming how many people are arrested that are completely sober, and they have to get arrested, they have to go through the process and get an attorney and then get the case dismissed. But you had to go through all that. You spent the night in jail, and that can be easily avoided by using what we call our script. It used to be 25 words when we started it off. We recently changed it to 29 words. And quite simply, when you get approached by the officer, you say, and he's, where are you going? Where are you coming from? What's that smell? How many drinks have you had? Do you have any tattoos? Are you in a gang? You have any guns? I could go on and on. Doesn't matter what the questions are. The first thing you politely say, after you've handed your license, insurance, and registration, and just to backtrack just a bit, we do recommend that the license and registration should be kept right on your visor, clipped to your visor. A lot of cars have that little slot now, and it's right there. So your hands are going from the steering wheel to here. I'm getting all my information to right there, versus reaching in the glove compartment for your insurance, and your registration is tucked over here in your wallet. And then now you're doing all this stuff, which you get the wrong cop on any wrong day, they're going to get freaked out. And what are you reaching for? Stop that. And unfortunately, your ethnicity will play a fact in that too. So it's much better to have it ready. Every time I get in the car, I assume today's the day I'm getting pulled over.
Wow.
So I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be ready with everything. So you're ready with everything. You hand it over like you have to, the license, insurance, and registration. And then those questions come at you, and the first thing you politely say is, "Why did you pull me over?" Now, here in California, last year they enacted a new law, which our governor put into place, we dubbed it the "Why Did You Pull Me Over" law. And we are steadfast believers that the governor watches us, and now made it a law for the cops to have to tell you why they pulled you over right from the get-go. So, but that's the only law I know of, the only state that has that law. So everywhere else, they're going to come at you with the questions. Even still here, they do it. And even if they tell you why they pulled you over, we suggest saying, "Why did you pull me over?" That's the first part of the script. And you say it very politely. We get accused of that's combative, you're being rude to the cop, and it's all really in your tone. "Why did you pull me over, officer?" And then he tells you. Now, you might get that cop, "Give me your stuff first, and I'll tell you later." And the side of the road ain't the time to argue anything. So, assuming that they tell you or not, and the questions keep coming after you've said, "Why did you pull me over?" you say politely, "I'm not discussing my day." That's it. That is it. And that works for any single solitary question that they might ask. And anything about your day, where you've been, where you're going, what you had to drink, what you're doing, none of their business anyway. We do live in America. Strangers just don't get to come up to you and ask you questions and get an answer. So I'm not discussing my day. Then the questions will keep coming. And we feel that by doing this, you're going to immediately find out what kind of cop you get. We also get accused of hating cops, which is furthest from the truth. We hate bad cops. We hate cops that don't respect the Constitution. We hate cops that get upset that you're saying, "I'm not going to discuss my day." And you're utilizing your Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment rights during this whole process. And those bad cops, "Well, you can't talk to me. You can't tell me one little thing. What's with the attitude?" And so that's how you know who you're getting right from the jump. So after you've said, "I'm not discussing my day," and I just want to know where you're going. I want to know if you had any drink. You got to tell me. Am I being detained or am I free to go? And at that point, that cop has the decision to make. Okay, am I going to write this ticket? Am I going to give a warning? Or am I going to go further with my investigation and see what's going on here? Because frankly, if you're not, 9 times out of 10, you're getting pulled over for a vehicle code violation. If you're swerving all over the road, and like I said earlier, you should go to jail anyway. But you're getting pulled over for some infraction, whatever it is. And one big one that we get all the time is the light that illuminates the rear license plate being out. I mean, at night, they look for that. And their reason to pull you over, so, but there's numerous reasons. And so you always want to remember in the back of your mind, I'm not getting pulled over because I wasn't driving right. I'm getting pulled over because of some citation that they should give me, or a warning they should give me. And so at that moment, he's either going to give you a warning, a ticket, or say you're being detained. And at that point, when you hear the words "I'm being detained," the next thing you're going to say is, "I invoke the fifth. I want my lawyer." Invoking the fifth is your, as we know, or if you don't know, it's your right to remain silent and not say anything. Now, a lot of people will come back, well, you can only do that in court. You can only do that when you're in a deposition. No, you can do that anytime any law enforcement personnel is asking you questions. You invoke the fifth, your right to remain silent. And you have to say it. The Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, long ago said you got to speak to invoke your right to silence. You got to explicitly state it. And so you must say, "I invoke the fifth." Now, right after that, you want to say, "I want my lawyer." The reason is invoking the fifth gives you the right to shut the F up.
Yeah.
And if they keep asking you questions and you finally start talking, you've waived your right, and those statements can then be admissible. Once you say, "I want my lawyer," that Sixth Amendment kicks in, and they're supposed to not ask you questions anymore. The questioning is supposed to stop. If they continue to ask and you break and say something, then that statement can be held inadmissible because you asked for your lawyer to be present. So, why did you pull me over? I'm not discussing my day. Am I being detained, or am I free to go? If detained, I invoke, "I want my lawyer." Then you shut the fuck up. Oh, well, had to say it once. And that's, that's where you have the right, but do you have the ability? Because depending on what kind of cop you got, "Oh, you better talk to me. It's going to be much worse. You're going to go to jail. I'm going to take you right to jail if you." And, if that's the worst that happens and they decide to take you into custody and arrest you, then whatever they're charging you with, you're going to have the best defense possible because you didn't say anything to incriminate yourself. If they want to search your vehicle, you're going to say, "I don't consent to searches." And we always suggest filming the police. And that's become a point of contention now too with the "don't touch your phone" law, that people think it just came out, but it's been around for quite some time. And we suggest that you have your phone mounted facing the driver's side window. So the moment you see those lights and you stop and get pulled over, you hit record and it's going. Because you don't want to have it in your hand. If you end up getting out, cuffing you, it's over. You can't record anymore. As long as it's recording and you can hear things. We've had many successful cases based on just audio that was captured from a phone that was left on. Because those guys will lie. The cops will lie. They're allowed to. They're trained to lie, to get you to say things. So it's important that you always film when these interactions happen. And that's kind of,
I know a lot of people, are very savvy with their phones. So I just want to slow that part down. So you're getting pulled over, you stop your car and you point your camera, your phone camera in the direction of where you anticipate the police will be standing. And
correct.
You record.
And do that before you start driving. You have your phone mount, right? Everybody has the little phone thingy. You put it on, you leave it there and face it right towards the driver's side window. And then it's all ready to go. And then all you have to do, and I think even like iPhone, Siri has, "I'm getting pulled over," and it puts your phone in that mode. Those phones have that capability now, from what I understand.
For those of us that are not that like car tech savvy, let's just say we have not, as we're starting to drive, gotten it all set up and all that. And we see it happening now and we're like, I don't want to like put it at the, facing the police officer. I'm assuming from what you're saying, at the very least, turning it on so you can pick up what they're saying is, you might as well at least get that done.
Yes, we've had a client. We had clients who turned it on and just let the phone, set the phone down. Even on the passenger seat. And in the particular case I'm thinking of, the cop didn't know that recording was happening and told a bunch of lies and arrested this person for a DUI who shouldn't have gotten the DUI and got the case dismissed, turned into a civil lawsuit, got money out of it. So it's so important to be recording in some fashion.
What happens if the police officer sees that you're recording and says, "Turn the phone off. I don't
You
give you."
don't have to. And if they want to do it as a criminal defense attorney, I can't wait to get them on the stand and cross-examine and say, why'd you turn the phone off? Why weren't you recording? Why wasn't your body cam on? Those pieces of evidence can greatly help a case.
Okay. All right. So I actually heard a few months ago somebody giving a little bit of a presentation, and the question and the topic was, what if the cop says to you, or the police officer says, "Do you know why I stopped you?" So before you say, "Hey, why are you stopping? Why am I being stopped?" They say that. Now, how do you deal with that?
Why did you pull me over? That's it.
Just turn it around on them.
That's it. The 29 words that's it. There is nothing more you need to say than those 29 words.
Okay. And the last four that you've added are, "I want my attorney."
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So when the viral video, it was 25. You didn't have that last part.
Yeah, that happened. We got on social media. It's been 10 years now, actually. 2015, my brother's kid, my nephew, who I had been representing since he's 13, he's now, 36, and a big player in the legal cannabis space here in California. And back then, before they became misdemeanors, they were felonies. And we had a couple big cases where he got pulled over. He did what we said. And this is like back in 2012, 2014. And he was looking at felonies, and we were able to get them dismissed because the cops did unlawful, illegal things. And so it's so important that you remember these things and remember your rights. And so once we got on social media, at my nephew goes, "You guys got to get on Instagram." And what? I've been on Facebook since it's opened. And back then in 2015, you looked at Instagram, excuse me, but it was nothing but cannabis and tits. I mean, that's what it was, because I didn't know anything about it. I looked at it like, what are you gonna do on this thing? And so we decided we're gonna educate, and it started with, in California, medical cannabis patients getting harassed by cops. And so we didn't really have a script back then. It was invoke the fifth and shut the fuck up. That was, since 1996, when I became an attorney, from my criminal law professor, had that on the back of his card. I took it back, and that's what I did right when I started practicing. And so as we started doing a series of, and the videos in 2015 were only 15 seconds long as well. So we did a series of them. This is what you do when you get pulled over. And because of the questions we started, what do I do here? Cop says this, what do I say? And that's where me and my brother formulated this script to give you something to say in response to whatever is thrown at you. And so we did that. We figured, well, it's free advertising. We'll get a few new clients. No idea. Within 4 or 5 months, we had like 10,000 people following us. And it was just, we didn't know what was going on. It was crazy. And so from 2015 to 2018, we amassed about 120,000 followers. And I'll never forget, Christmas morning 2018. And by this time, I had us on all social media platforms, a presence. I just created Pop Brothers at Law pages. I wasn't really active on them, but just put it everywhere. And I had different notifications to let me know if somebody sends a message. As an attorney, somebody got arrested, they want to get in touch with somebody right away. So I have my notifications on. And my Facebook notification was just this little ding. And so Christmas morning, I'm vacationing with my family. I wake up to this ding, 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 ding. It was just, I was like, what's going on? I thought my phone was broken. I turned it off. I turned it on. It was still going. And we were getting all these notifications. And I was able to track it back to a video that we did where we explained about a raid that happened at an illegal cannabis shop. 3 people were working there. 2 of them said, I volunteer here. One of them, who followed us, shut the fuck up. We got his case dismissed. You know, you get in a situation like that, you could have been a customer. You could have come in off the street to use the bathroom. They don't know what you're doing in there. The 2, I volunteer here. Well, you just admitted it and you're done. And so that video got reposted by a Facebook page that was doing like it was like a political hip hop page with information called Respect My Region. A couple of young guys out of Seattle, Washington, and they reposted that. That then got reposted by Roger Stone, who at that time was under a gag order, and he wrote the caption, "These should be my lawyers." And we went from 115, 20,000 followers to 400,000, you know, in a matter of a year or so, and getting reposted. And then 3 days, literally 3 days after that, the beginning of the year, Daniel Tosh.0 called us. We were interviewed on that show. MTV Ridiculousness wanted to use our video. We did that. And as you mentioned earlier, it was getting reposted by all these famous, you know, people from Snoop to Diddy to, I don't want to say that now though, but and everybody else in between. And it just took on a life of its own. And then we fast forward to 2021, where we had about 490,000 followers, but we started losing followers every month, 1,000. And everybody on Instagram was losing followers. And we were pulling our hair out. We finally met a guru of social media algorithms and this, that. And he offered to audit our page. And he looked at it, and in 3 minutes, he goes, well, of course, you're smoking. You can't do that. You're cussing. You can't do that. And there's all these different words, like from rights to constitution, that get flagged because you're teaching civics, and the algorithm didn't want that. And so we basically took down over 3,000 videos, erased them all. And we had great ones. We were smoking with Snoop, and, you know, we did Snoop's show and Killer Mike and everybody under the sun. Yeah. And so we listened to him, and within the matter of a year, he took us from 490,000 to over 1 million.
Wow.
And now we sit with like 1.2 million on Instagram and almost 500,000 on Facebook. I mean, across all platforms, we have well over 2 million followers. And so that's kind of how, and it just all organically grew. We never bought any followers. We never did any of that. Completely organic from the message we were sending. And that's the one thing he said. He was surprised we had gotten up to 490,000. We were violating all the time. And it was very hard. And I'll introduce my brother Craig, who's done with the client now. Very hard for him to stop smoking, because one of our big things was breaking the stigma. When we first started, I would say stuff, he'd be in the back smoking a joint, you know, and it's like, you know, you don't like us, then don't call us. But this is how we medicate. This is what we choose to use. We're responsible. We're successful. We get everything done that we need to do. And cannabis gets a bad rap. So, but he told us we can't smoke anymore. If we want to reach more people, and we got to play by the rules, the social media rules and guidelines. And it's simply that. Just follow, you know, those terms and conditions they have in reading between the lines of what they're pushing out and what they're not is something that we ultimately gave into. And we were more concerned with getting the message out to as many people as we can reach, because we can't reach it. We can't reach enough still, because, you know, we get calls all the time from people who, did you see our video? I saw it after I got arrested. I went, oh my God, somebody told me after. So just getting that message out there so people know how to conduct themselves peacefully and in a way that is utilizing all of their rights.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, as you said, in the house, Craig Wasserman, the other half, should I say the better half
Of
of
The
course.
uglier half.
the Pot Brothers, the Pot Brothers Inc. What? I mean, I don't want to get this trademark.
At law.
Huh?
No, it's
You
just
gotta say
Pot
Pop
Brothers
Brothers
at
at
law.
law.
Okay. All right. So, Craig, hopefully you sign up a very high-paying client that listen to this viral video beforehand. You're going to get them off, and because they were not intoxicated. But I'm going to ask you a question, Craig.
Sure.
What about? I mean, we've already gone through the 29 words and all that, but what happens if you get pulled over and you just don't say anything?
That's just as good. If we tell people, if you can't remember the 29 words, you don't have one of our stickers where your oil change goes on the window that actually has the 29 words. If you don't remember anything, just shut the fuck up and give them what what you're supposed to give them. Give them the registration, license, and ID, and they're going to do. They tell you to get out, you get out. You don't have to say anything.
All right, rapid fire here. What happens if you do that and the cop is just furious at you, says, "Get out of the car"?
We recommend you get out of the car, or you could
Pennsylvania v. Mems.
You could immediately to see if you could, I mean, it prolongs it, but you could ask for a supervisor. You could ask for a supervisor, and usually they won't yank you out until the supervisor comes. And then if they still want to get you out,
supervisor,
huh?
Unless that is the supervisor.
No, I know. I saw that on Patrol Live this weekend where the guy was asking for the supervisor. He turns to the other cop, going, "Oh, there he is."
What about?
But so you get out of the car. We say comply with their physical requests. That's cooperation. Not talking and discussing your day. That doesn't equate to non-cooperation, not talking. So get out of the car unless you want to be dragged out.
Yeah. But in terms of cooperation, once they say, we want you to start touching your nose and walking on this, uneven pavement and all that, you say no, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You say, I don't want to do those, because they'll sneakily in almost every state. We tell people, Google your state. It's not difficult to find this law on whether the field sobriety tests are voluntary. It's not difficult. Most states we've looked at they are voluntary. Yeah, most states are voluntary. California is voluntary for sure, and you don't have to do them. And they'll try to trick you into, do you mind doing these tests? Or, some of them straight up say, do you want to do these, or will you do those, the good ones? And you can either say yes or no. Yeah. You say, no, I don't. Because nine times out of 10, you're pulled over for a blinker violation, and they want to turn it into something more. And if they want to take you in for a DUI, they're going to have a lot of, no matter, even if you're not, you can't do those field sobriety tests.
All right. So let's say July 4th barbecue, you had a couple beers over an 8-hour period of time, and your brother's with you as a passenger, and he's completely bombed, and he's very chatty, and the police officer starts asking your brother questions.
Passengers do not need to speak, talk, or identify themselves.
Can you tell the passenger, shut the F up?
Yeah.
Stop talking to the police officer?
Absolutely. I mean, he should say it himself. But most people don't know that they can do that. They don't know the passenger can do that. The passenger, unless he's being accused of a crime, you can't, you don't have to identify.
All right. So now you're in California, marijuana is legal, and you just came from the pot shop, and you have a bunch of pot in the car. I mean, are you exposed? Should you hide it? Should you?
Well, we always recommend it should be in the trunk, no matter legal or not. It just should be in the trunk in the package from the store. Smell alone is not probable cause in California. Independent, you need something other than smell, some other kind of independent probable cause on top of the smell to even try to get that to be PC.
when we first met or whatever, one of my topics was going to be the future of the cannabis industry.
Oh,
A bunch of states are passing it. Then there was talk
you
about
really want to get me started?
reclassifying so that it's not a Schedule One. Where are we going? Is there anything you can dummy it down and just talk? Is it going to get reclassified? Is it not? Is there going to be federal legislation?
You know what? It's doesn't look like it's on the horizon. It does not look like it's on the horizon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I hate
it. I mean,
saying
we've had Democratic presidents, we've had Republican presidents who say leave it to the states, and then they get in there, they don't do shit. They don't change it. Status quo, morality. I don't know. It makes absolutely no sense when you have, and that's why I said don't get me started. When you have the majority of the states, the majority of our states have some form of cannabis legalization. What are those federal representatives in those states? How does that not translate to the federal level? If the states say we want this, then how come those representatives in those states aren't going to the Fed, going to Congress and saying, my state wanted this? And we have a majority of states that have something. So it makes absolutely no sense at the federal level.
All right. Let's talk about reforms on the DUI laws and police stops that you guys think should happen.
Well, I think I mean, for us, it's pretty simple. Don't drive impaired. No matter what you're on, don't drive impaired. DUI stops, the problem with marijuana or cannabis DUI is that every single case we've ever had a cannabis DUI on, the person was not pulled over for impaired driving. They're pulled over for a blinker, a left turn, a legal lane change, whatever. Then they smell it. Then they ask about it. How long? When did you last smoke? And I did it an hour ago or 4 hours ago. Or we've had cases 8 hours ago.
Yeah.
Now they've said they've consumed before they drove, regardless of if it's an hour, 4 hours, or 8 hours. Now they want to do a DUI check and they have you do the field sobriety test. And if you don't know any better, you're going to fail somewhere on that test, no matter sober or not, impaired or not. So if they didn't pull you over for being impaired, don't give them any reason to justify the DUI search or the DUI investigation. So it's people talking is what really, I don't know that reform is necessarily needed. Cops just got to get off the smell of marijuana thing, eventually, but it's people can't rat on themselves.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Because then you get taken in, they take your blood, and it stays in your blood for, up to 30 days and all that stuff. And you have, unfortunately, states like, I believe it's Nevada, like zero tolerance. If it's in your blood, DUI, regardless of how long it's been there.
Yeah.
Which that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And they're coming out with some swab detector that they say can measure if there's THC in your blood.
I would guess that would be like a field sobriety test. That's not covered under the consent law.
Right. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. But I just read an article on that.
Not enough people know. We can't reach enough people that field sobriety tests are anything pre-arrest. Anything, unless you're under 21 in the state of California, anything pre-arrest is voluntary. Don't do it.
Gotcha. All right. So you say that you have this 29, you have a little not a brochure, but a little like placard with the 29 words that somebody could just get and put it in their car. Yeah. There you go. Look at that.
Actually, we have a sticker.
This is even better. And this is from our followers who recommended this. It has the words, and it peels off and goes where the oil change sticker goes on your window. So you can just read it right off the window when you get scared, because it's scary. I've been pulled over and it's scary.
Yeah.
When they're sitting there.
What happens if you have an EV and you don't have an oil sticker, an oil change thing?
Hey, some people put it right on in the middle of their steering wheel.
No, this goes over
or right on the visor.
where the oil sticker would go if you had a car. That's just a old man frame of reference, oil sticker where it goes.
All right. So normally at this time of the show, I would be like, so how do people get in touch with you? But I think the better question is, how do people get that sticker from you?
You can go to
www.stfuguys.com. STFUGUYS.
Okay.
STFUguys.com.
And what is the best way to get in touch
And you
with
can get that cool hat too.
Huh? Oh, the hat too. Wow. Wow.
The hat is available. And the shirts.
Goodness gracious. You guys are so far ahead of your time.
This one is actually selling quite a bit of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, I got a lot of questions about you guys as brothers also, but I'm going to spare you on that one. All right. So what is the best way to get in touch with both of you? Because I know you both have your own law offices, although you are the Pot Brothers at Law trademark.
Correct.
So we have our website, potbrothersatlaw.com, and you can fill out a form there to contact us. We have an easy phone number, 855-WASSLAW, WASSLAW. And as I said earlier, we do practice only in California, but because of our social media reach that we've amassed over all these years, we've created a worldwide attorney referral network. And so no matter where, we've referred people in the UK to attorneys, and even in Italy, and all across the nation in the United States. We've got contacts where if you've got regardless of whether you pulled over or maybe you need a divorce or a state attorney, doesn't even matter. Whatever you need, we might be able to hook you up with a good, honest, ethical attorney in your area. So You could feel free to reach out to us.
Love it. Love it. All right. So my last question, and I guess I'm going to throw this back to you, Mark, since you were the one that introduced this topic. You said when you were getting viral and growing and getting all these followers, you said at the beginning of Instagram, it was just cannabis and tits, something like that. I think that was it.
Yes.
So my question to you is, I know the FUCK is a 4-letter word, right? They used to have this comedian that came and said, well, all the 4-letter words you can't use. So my question is tits a 4-letter word that you can't use? Or it's
I believe you could say tits. You can say tit.
Okay.
Yes. No, he's the wrong one to ask about the rules.
All right. Okay, guys, that's it. All right. You guys got to go back to work. That's it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. I'm going to have all this information, all their information in my show notes. If you're on the YouTube channel, I'll give you a link there so you can get that, buy the stuff, get the little placard or whatever, the little sticker, and get yourself ready. Sometimes the police, maybe they are bad, maybe they're just having a bad day, and you don't want to be the one that's in their focus, taking out their whatever it is going on through their mind. So if you like this episode, please share it, because that way more people can get this information, preserve and protect their rights. You absolutely have to like this episode, and if you haven't subscribed by now, please. Okay. So Wasserman,
hit that subscribe button now.
Right now, right? Don't wait.
Yes.
Okay,
Don't wait.
guys.
And we are on, one last thing, we are on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're on all the social media platforms, X, Pot Brothers at Law. You can find us everywhere.
Yeah. And believe me, it's all going to be on the show notes. And my producer's going to reach out to you two gentlemen to get some headshots, because I think just even looking at you was entertaining. Or I'm not sure. All right, guys, get back to work.
It's a pleasure. Thank
Have
you
a good
very
one.
much.
That's all for this episode of Cut to the Chase. But before you go, will you open up your podcast app and give us a 5-star review? You can also leave a comment about what you liked most or other topics you'd like us to cover. And please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming shows. Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there.